Welcome back to Plague Scythe Studios, everyone. Ryan here, checking out the recently released, with an asterisk on the end, plug-in bundle from Ignite Amplifiers, the Emissary 2.0. Today's review is kind of a funny throwback because not only have we discussed these products, at least in some capacity before, generally when I go over free VST plugin bundles, I show them in some sort of tutorial, how I would use them in a signal chain, where I think they excel the best at, how other people, at least how I think they would use those plugins. Because when it comes to a critical review, it's kind of hard to really critique something you're getting for free. I mean, the only cost associated with a lot of this stuff is your download and install time and how much space is taking up on a hard drive. So kind of hard to really complain about much of anything. You know, I like to make suggestions or what I like and don't like about certain things, but you can damn near always find some real good application for even what I consider the bottom of the barrel free VST plugins. But today I wanted to review this in a way because it is refreshed, it is in its own little bundle, and I use a lot of Ignite Amps products in a more professional capacity. With a lot of free stuff, I generally just run it as like a demo or listen back to DIs I've recorded. But with Ignite stuff, I mean, it's really kind of in the same playing field, in my opinion, to like the Neural DSP stuff, to Mercurial. And so I kind of want to give something a little bit more of a critical feedback type of video, even if it is free. So I will mention that again, this is free. These things you're seeing on the screen cost no money. So as I alluded to earlier, this is certainly not the first time that I've covered Ignite Amps products. Hell, this isn't even the first time I've covered the Emissary or NadIR. It's simply the newest version of these plugins. And when I first went over them, hell, well over a year, maybe almost 2 years ago at this point, we also looked at some standalone pedals, a bass amplifier. They've since came out with like 2 or 3 more stop boxes, as well as a power amp sim, and I use those quite a bit actually throughout all my videos. So if you have any interest in those, definitely provide the links below. They are all very highly recommended for me because ultimately they're free, but they sound really great. And I kind of like Ignite Amps' philosophy of like, let's build a virtual model and then build a real one and make sure they sound the same. And that's pretty cool to me because you can point to the actual physical pedal and go, oh, wow, I actually have a custom, per se, VST plugin of that thing. And that's kind of what the Emissary is. Speaking of which, the standalone version 1.0 of the Emissary has managed to stay within my top 5 favorite picks for free amplifier sims since basically it came out, like, what, 2014? So if you're just getting acquainted to the Ignite Amps products through this video, this isn't necessarily a new product. This is simply the latest revision of it. And my praises for it were really, or they're kind of going to be the same thing that I say in this video when it comes to the amplifier itself. It's an extremely tight, focused amplifier that's meant for, straight into the amp, direct tones. It sounds awesome with, regular 6 strings, down-tuned 6 strings, even a lot of 7-string tunings it can handle without even needing a boost in front of it. A lot of my tones I still prefer to use some of the great boosts from Ignite Amps, and it sounds awesome. You have 2 separate mid-band controls to get rid of some of the nasty mid frequencies that you may not want for, more modern metal tones, but still able to stick out in the mix properly. And you got a really nice clean channel that often gets overlooked. It's really great Fender cleans. You can even go to the back and change the power amp tubes over here. So you got a selection of EL34s, 6L6s, and KT88s. And really great art style. I mean, it's very true to the actual custom amp they built. And overall, it sounds better than it should for a free product, quite frankly. Of course, when I say all that, I'm actually talking about version 1.0, and we're here taking a look at 2.0. So let's pull up the old version 1.0, and kind of looks identical. So they took away the engineering for the mosh pit subtitle for whatever reason. I don't think it's on the real amp. But you'll notice the bigger change to the art is this STL tones. I don't really know what's up with that, to tell you the truth. You can still access the Ignite Amps website. I know at one point it was like hacked, and I actually backed up a lot of their stuff just in case, because people were telling me in my own demo tutorial video like, hey, Can you rehost it because this might give me a virus? So that was kind of strange. You can get it on KVR audio as well, but it's back up and you can still access the new Emissary plugin bundle we're looking at. But there's this kind of weird collaboration with STL Tones, and that's the same group that put out the STL Tonality Suite, which is like the Howard Benson guitar production plugin thing. And that's not something that I personally demoed. Everyone that I watched basically came to the same conclusion that it's a great thing for producers. It's not exactly the most inspiring thing to play through as a guitar player, and I want both of those when it comes to a quality VST amp sim. So that name is kind of like, huh? Why is that there? You'll also notice that they've branded the NadIR plugin as well, though Ignite Amp still retains their name on it. So I'm not quite sure what this collaboration is. If anyone could fill me in on it, I'd greatly appreciate it. It still seems like Ignite has the reins when it comes to their plugins, but if I had to hypothesize, I would bet the included impulse responses in NadIR are coming from the STL guys, because I don't think Ignite dabbled in that. Either way, you're still getting, you know, Ignite quality, which is good. Just it's kind of a convoluted, weird thing that I'm not sure what the point of was. Another guess for me would be that this is all, you know, kind of a free promotion to steer you towards their, you know, their premium product packs. Who knows? Either way, you can still get it. I don't care. It's just kind of a weird brand thing because obviously there's still a lot that's the same. So let's talk about the amplifier alone first. And my number one question was, well, you got version 2.0 here, but otherwise the art itself looks pretty much identical. It all dials in the same, but is there actually a discernible difference between the old version and version 2.0, at least on the high gain channel where probably everyone really cares about it? Let's find out. My conclusion is yes, there are slight differences between the two, and I would go as far as to say that 2.0 sounds a little more natural to me, at least on these settings. Although I can't necessarily pinpoint that to one thing. There is a possibility that they tweaked parts of the circuit, maybe even something as simple as the potentiometer value, which would affect the range of each, you know, tone stack control. I doubt they would, because I would imagine they're trying to keep this in parity with the physical amp they built. So, you know, no guarantees, but I would bet most of that stayed the same. I would bet, though, the change we're hearing is more updates to their overall modeling engine, something you might expect from like a Fractal Audio firmware update or a Kemper update to make the models more organic. And it results in that kind of thing that if you don't A/B test them, you'll probably never know the difference. But in this environment, you can kind of hear, you know, something similar. The one thing I couldn't test is, does that affect CPU load at all? Because my computer is completely overpowered for this and was within margin of error. So I can't even tell you if you have the old one, it's better running or anything. But what I can say is if you got the space and you want to, you know, screw around with it, it's probably the more accurate of the two. It's just not a night and day difference to where I think you need to like hurry up and delete the old one. It works fine. When it comes to version 2.0 of NadIR, though, I definitely can't say the same thing. So compared to the old one, you'll notice a drastic change in the layout and overall art style. There's actually kind of an in-between version called Pulse, and it's basically the original NadIR. It kind of has the same layout, different art, and I think it included one standard impulse response. I can't remember who that was made for, but a lot of people switched to it shortly thereafter. I kept rocking NadIR because it works great for me. But you'll see the main difference here is, besides the cabinets going away, you actually have a list of impulse responses, so you can see whatever folder you're in, exactly what's in there, which is the same functionality you get if you click here. But well, this is just far more elegant in my opinion. So definitely a good update, and actually separates them logically to where you can quickly get to which one you want. And the ones you're looking at here are actually included in the suite itself. So you do get what I think are some pretty okay sounding impulse responses. None of them are like, you know, blew me away, but they're definitely comparable to the free stuff you might get from Redwires or Owen Hammer, and a little better than that even. A pretty good selection of microphones. And there's even some very usable presets that will get you a workable sound quickly, something you don't have to tweak a whole lot. They all sound pretty good. That is if you like the V30 sound from this Kirk Hammett cabinet that they've mic'd up here. But for me, I think it's a good pairing with Emissary overall. All the functionality of the original NadIR release has been retained with the low pass, high pass filter, being able to change the delay of one impulse response versus the other to get some phasing effects, but they've actually added a couple more. So one, you have this room control, which is kind of like a room reverb bounce back type thing. Not particularly great for distorted tones, but it can be cool if you're going for like a vintage vibe, and I think it actually is an okay substitute for even reverb in clean applications. So you'll hear that as well. But I think the far more useful feature is down here, and it's called resonance. Now this isn't actually a new thing. You can find this exact control in their power amp simulation, TPA1, and basically what you have to do to mimic that is turn the depth and presence all the way off, turn the feedback all the way up, of course whatever oversampling that you're using. You'll have the power sag all the way down and the resonance at whatever you're using on the built-in NadIR. And this is a really cool feature because what it's doing, at least to my ears, is boosting those resonant frequencies that you get when a 2 power amp interacts with a guitar speaker. So like that big hump towards the low end between 90 and 120 hertz, wherever it is. And then you'll get kind of a similar bump on the high end. It sounds like it's kind of scooping out the middle and making that presence and depth stick out further. You can definitely get in trouble with this because if you go too far, you'll get something that's thin and hissy and won't, work with a lot of mixes. But it's a really nice feature to just kind of turn up a different level of depth and presence in a way, and can really make a good impulse response great if it maybe is just a little too low mids for your taste. And that means you can use this feature with any directly recorded tube head or other plugins that you simply want to use this as your cab section. And again, you could have got these results with the old NadIR, but it would have taken one more slot up in your VST insert. So I'm all about consolidating stuff when you can do it, and it was a good move in my opinion here. That brings us to the important question: how does it sound? Really good. Duh. It's the Emissary all over again, just better through what I think is a pretty competent collection of impulse responses that, of course, you can easily change out with your own, with some good features on NadIR that they added here. So I've definitely switched to this version, and the two together are a great match. For me, the Emissary is like the perfect straight through the amp sound for death metal, for even prog type stuff. If you have a 6-string, even a regularly tuned 7-string with high output active, even some passive pickups I think will work with this. But like, this is the EMG down tuned guitar amplifier for me. It doesn't need boosted. It has kind of that over the top 50-150 thing going on, or extremely tight rectifier sound that I always love. And again, being able to tweak the different mids in comparison to all these shape and deep, bright switches, it's a very tweakable amp that you can get a lot of good sounds out of. But when it comes to extremely down-tuned 7-string or even 8-string tones, my philosophy when it comes to guitar tone kind of changes, and this isn't exactly what I'm looking for. But I think for like 95% of players out there, this will be a freaking phenomenal amplifier sound, even for like real professional records. This is right up there to me with, again, the Neural DSP stuff, the Mercurial stuff, and I'll definitely be keeping it in my collection from here on out. So this is one of those really rare times where at the end of the video, I get to say I recommend this product to literally everyone. How cool is that? I mean, it's free, so what do you have to lose? Unless you have just garbage, slow internet like I do, then maybe you gotta wait like 10 minutes. But other than that, it's a very worthy upgrade, in my opinion, even if you have the originals. The amplifier, not so much, but definitely NadIR. Extremely good stuff happening in both of them. And you know, if you clicked on this video, you probably know what this is, or at the very least, you see something that looks like a metal amp. So, you know, I wouldn't exactly recommend this to a clean jazz player that's doing direct recording, but you're probably not after that if you click this video anyway. So yeah, I mean, it's great. I'd love to know what's going on between STL and Ignite. As long as, you know, they don't dirty up anything, which I don't think so. They've got, you know, a pretty good reputation. I honestly hope the collaboration brings out more great stuff, and especially more free stuff, because free is free and free is good. So that's about that. If you have any questions, comments, as always, leave them down below. Try to get back to them, and stay tuned, hopefully, for, you know, next time Ignite releases something spicy, I'll be on top of it a little better than I was this time, and we'll see you next video. Thanks. Bye.